Brad. Get this thing out of you.
When I give an amen on the pronunciation sometimes, I have trouble myself, so. Yeah, I have trouble myself with pronunciations. Well, good morning, everybody. If you would, we'll turn to our Bibles today in the book of Joshua again. Chapter 10 is where we left off last week, and we will start with verses 40 and 43, or 40 through 43 here in a minute. If you'll remember last week, we finished up on about the defeat of the Amorites on the day the sun stood still and the moon stayed. After that, there was a 5-king alliance, and they were defeated and beheaded. And we finished up the final verses there last week with what we called a lightning war tactic that defeated 7 more kings. So they are conquering the land here in chapter 10, as we see, led by Joshua, of course. But the task is not completely over. And so I'm going to start with verse 40 and read through 43, chapter 10. So Joshua smote all the country of the hills, and that's all the country of the hills. That's the central mountain highlands of Canaan. That's that central area right there. So you bring that into your mind, get that. And of the south, down towards the desert, the Negev, and of the valley. That's the lower region between the Judea and the Mediterranean Sea. So if you got it pictured in your mind, the south, kind of in the middle, and toward the sea is where they've been all this. And the springs. And that caught my eye when I was reading that. And it says, studying that, the better word would have been slopes there. And what that area is, the way it looks, it's between the mountains and the hills and down to the lower lying area. It's an area of land that is, I would say, hit by a lot of erosion just because of the slope and all. So it's a lot of rocks, trenches, and ditches where runoff has created that area in there. And it's a big area, of course. So it's just some geography here and some things that catch your eye when you're reading and study. And all of their kings. He left none remaining, but utterly destroyed all that breathed, as the Lord God of Israel commanded. And Joshua smote them from Kadesh Barnea. You guys remember that? And we studied about the spies that went into the land. That's down south. Even unto Gaza, nor that's at over toward the coastline, and all the country of Goshen, that's down toward Egypt, and even to Gibeon. If you remember there, not long ago we read about the Gibeonites. They made a peace treaty there. They done it under sneak tactics, and with the head chiefs of Israel there. They made a deal there where they wouldn't be wiped out, and that was not God's original intention to what was to happening in that part of the land. But that was last time. So what we're going to read next, that covered pretty much the southern part and the conquering of it, and the north section is going to be next. And we're going to pick that up here in chapter. Let me finish up. I didn't get that. And Joshua returned, and all Israel with him, unto the camp at Gilgal. So we'll finish up chapter 10 with that. And if you'll remember, Gilgal, they've been camped there. That's where the memorial stones are placed. So, it's not just soldiers you're thinking about here. It's at the camp, the families, children, women, and all, they've had to have a base to stay at. So that continues to be at Gilgal while these men travel and do this lightning war we've been talking about. You couldn't travel with your families and children and animals and livestock and fight a battle like they fought right now in this land. So there's your camp at Gilgal for the families and all. All right. So now chapter 11, 1 through 5. Conquest of northern Canaan. That's the title here at the head of this chapter. And it came to pass, when Jabin, king of Hazor, had heard those things, that he sent to Jobab, king of Madon, and to the king of Shimron, and to the king of, there's one of them, it's hard to pronounce, Shop. Okay, 2. and to the kings that were on the north of the mountains and the plains south of Chinneroth, and in the valley and the borders of Dor on the west. This is northern areas. So carry on. And to the Canaanite on the east and on the west, and to the Amorite and the Hittite and the Perizzite, Jebusite in the mountains, and to the Hivite under Hermon in the land of Mizpah. And they went out, they and all their hosts with them, much people, even as the sand that is upon the seashore in multitude, with horses and chariots, very many. All right, now remember, we've been reading about horses and chariots at different times and studying and seeing that. So this is how they portrayed their strength, these Canaanite peoples here, and their war machines and so forth. But what has God constantly told Israel? That they don't need to be bogged down with horses and chariots. God's going to do the fighting for them. All they need is faith. They don't need horses and chariots to win these battles. And we're going to see that. And we'll continue to see that even into the book of Judges. That's going to happen. We saw it back at the Red Sea. Pharaoh had plenty of chariots and horses. And how did he fare? All they need is faith. And let God do the fighting for them right here. All right. Want the enemy forces were gathered. So we got them gathered. Now I'm going to read verse 6. Okay. And the Lord said unto Joshua, Be not afraid because of them, for tomorrow about this time will I deliver them up all slain before Israel, and thou shalt hold their horses. Not for sure on that, but mainly it's hock is what they're going to do. You pretty much cut the backside of the leg and hamstring them, and they can't run. They're useless anymore for any type of chariot pulling or work or anything like that. And their horses, and burn their chariots with fire. So faith ends up being a lot more durable than chariots and horses. And you'll read later on when we get to the book of Kings, Solomon has great stables, they think, has lots of horses, so forth like that, and we see how the kingdom ended up divided. Even in his great wisdom, Solomon forgot to remember the worth and the words and the truth that was in the book in his time, and it ended up with the kingdom splitting and his demise. All right, 7 through 9. So Joshua came, and all the people of war with him against them by the waters of Merom, and that's just probably a little north of the Sea of Galilee. There's a spot up there, I think that they said that it's like a swamp area north of the Sea of Galilee. That might be it. Or there's another lake in that general area. It could be it too. So just a little geography there on that. Suddenly, and they fell upon them. And the Lord delivered them into the land of Israel, who smote them and chased them unto Zidon, unto Mizrephoth-maim, and unto the valley of Mizpah, eastward. And they smote them until they left them none remaining. And Joshua did unto them as the Lord bade him. He held their horses, hocked them again, hamstrung them, and burnt their chariots with fire. There again, chariots are defeated. Just with the faith, let God do the fighting. Read 10. I'm going to get 10 through 14 now. And Joshua at that time turned back and took Hazor and smote the king thereof with the sword. For Hazor before time was the head of all those kingdoms. Just a little description there to how big and powerful it probably was. And they smote all the souls that were therein with the edge of the swords, utterly destroying them. There was not any left to breathe, and he burnt Hazor with fire. And all the cities of those kings and all the kings of them did Joshua take, and smote them with the edge of the sword, and he utterly destroyed them, as Moses the servant of the Lord commanded. But as for the cities that stood still in their strength, that there is a word for like a fortification, which you would see now would be, in that time, be like a tale. As cities had been there a long time, if you imagine it, don't just stay level its entirety. It is built upon, destroyed, built upon, destroyed, built upon, and it is elevated. and it becomes a fortified city to a degree. It makes it hard to attack and so forth like that. And you watch some biblical archaeology shows now, you'll see where they excavate some of these tales, these locations of these old cities. And it's just layer upon layer of stuff that had been destroyed or burned, and all the way down to the bottom they go digging and trying to date things and show it in period when it was and when it was destroyed. All right, so let me get back here. I think I made it to 14. Yeah, the strength, that's the tale. That's the Israel burned none of them save Hazor, only that did Joshua burn. Okay, now I'm going to read strength. We got that. Now read verse 15. As the Lord commanded Moses his servant, so did Moses command Joshua, and so did Joshua. He left nothing undone, all that the Lord commanded Moses. All right. Okay. I've studied on that a little more, but that's going to bog us down. So I'll move on to 16 to 18. But to remember what Moses told him to destroy all this. There's going to be problems in the future because of the Gibeonites. They made that deal. So, and that area is listed in that command from Moses that were to be destroyed. Just keep that in the back of your mind as we move forward on that, okay? 16 through 18. Here's a summary as we go into these verses of what's happened. So Joshua took all that land of the hills and all the south country, which we talked about earlier, and all the land of Goshen down toward Egypt, northern part, and the valley, and the plain, and the mountain of Israel, and the valley of the same, even from the Mount Halak that goeth up to Seir, even unto Baalgad in the valley of Lebanon under Mount Hermon. That's Hermon's up north. That's up there getting toward Lebanon, Syria up there. So this here is north of the Sea of Galilee, and like I said, it's between Syria and Lebanon. Still there today, Mount Hermon. And it's known as a sacred mountain, and don't get it confused as you're reading along and get it confused with Hebron, which is a city down toward the southern part where the cave of Machpelah, Abraham and the patriarchs are buried. Mount Hermon is in the north, okay? So let's see how far did I get here. Okay. And smote, okay, even from the Mount of Halak, go up to Seir, even unto the valley of Lebanon, under Mount Hermon, and all their kings he took and smote them and slew them. This here northern part, of particular interest as we move forward, it's always going to be a source of contention because it never fully gets dealt with up in here. Joshua made war a long time with all those kings, so obviously it made a long time. It's saying it was difficult. And there was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel, say the Hivites, the inhabitants of Gibeon. All other they took in battle. And if we go back to chapter 3, verse 10, remember I told you the plan that Joshua was given from Moses. I think I made my note here. We go back to chapter 3, verse 10, and see if they're listed in that. There we go. And Joshua said, hereby ye shall know that the living God is among you, and he will be without fail. Drive out from before you the Canaanites and the Hittites, and what's the next one? The Hivites. And we just read the Hivites are really the Gibeonites who now how can God drive them out when they've made a peace deal with them? And they done that without the counsel of God as we read here. Finishing up that 3:10, and the Perizzites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Jebusites. So just a little there that when they made that deal, they weren't thinking, they didn't seek the counsel of God, and they messed up. All right. Now I got to read. Lost my place now. 8:19, let me verse 20. For it was the Lord to harden their hearts, that they should come against Israel in battle, that he might destroy them utterly, and that they might have no favor, but he might destroy them as the Lord commanded Moses. So, like I said, that's going to cause problems in the future. 21 through 23. And at that time came Joshua and cut off the Anakims. Now, do we remember who the Anakims are? They were the giants living in the south who had terrified who? The spies. Thought they looked like grasshoppers when they saw them, when they went out from Kadesh Barnea to spy out the land. So here they are mentioned again here. They're got to be dealt with. And let me turn the page here. From the mountains, from the Hebron, from Debir to Anab, and from all the mountains of Judah, and from all the mountains of Israel, Joshua destroyed them utterly with their cities. There was none of the Anakims left in the land of the children of Israel, only in Gaza. Now remember all your childhood Sunday school lessons in Gaza? What's that on the coast? Who's going to be there? Who's going to be in the future? Who are we going to read about some giants in the future David's got to defeat? It's going to be Goliath and his brothers. That's where that area is going to be. So Joshua didn't get them all, so it's going to be problems for them again in the future. If you see the kind of the thing that's going on here, they don't seek the counsel of God and take care of the problems as directed by God to the fullest, it's going to cause them problems in the future. That's what to see here with it. So, and that can be said really a lot of things in life, I guess, even today. And we get here, and there were none of that except for Gaza and Gath. There's that Gath. Remember Goliath of Gath and his brothers, and in Ashdod there remained. So Joshua took the whole land according to all that the Lord said unto Moses, and Joshua gave it for inheritance unto Israel according to their divisions by their tribes, and the land rested from war. Now we'll probably touch on this. It just came to my mind, but we're talking about these problems not dealt with now. Even in the city of Jericho, even today, that is not a place that's fully controlled by Israel, just because of things it wasn't dealt with in the past. Even at Hebron, the city, Hebron, where I told you the cave of Machpelah, where Abraham and the patriarchs are buried. The parts of that city, yes, it's kind of controlled by Israel, but parts of that city are governed, like 80% of it are still governed today by the Muslims. So that area didn't get fully dealt with. And you can see even, 1,400 years or more into the future, we still got a problem there. And, so there it is. If you read, watch some shows, you'll see how hard it is really for Israel to kind of, they've encircled it and they control what's going in and out of it, but they don't govern that city wholly now. And the Muslims try to say it's a holy city to them because of their ties with Abraham and all that stuff. But the main thing is problems not dealt with then are still problems even today, as far into the future. If that ain't proof for God's word and its foretelling and the accuracy and the prophecies of it, and it's so obvious to me. I don't know why it's not obvious to other people in the world, that how even the nation of Israel, even today, is still the nation that it is, and they've been eliminated for years and years and years and years, but they're still there. They're still in the newspaper. They're still on the TV every day, all this time later. How many other nations from back then do you read about and hear about today? Yeah, so just to me, it's just something it just sticks in my mind. I can't help it. It's just so obvious to me when I hear what's going on and read right here that how the Bible tells what went on then is so relevant even today. All right, let me get going here. Let's see where I got to. We're going to do chapter 13, 1 through 6. All right, dividing the land of Canaan. Wait a minute. No, wait a minute. I left the spot. I forgot all chapter 12. And the reason I done that is I don't want to put you to sleep when I read chapter 12. So I've made a note here. I'm going to read verse 1 of chapter 12, and then I'm going to give you a brief summary of the rest of the chapter, because it is a lot of description of Amorite kings, one king of this area, king of this area, king of this area, and I'm afraid by the time I got reading that, half of you would be asleep in here. So, all right, chapter 12, verse 1. Okay. Now these are the kings of the land which the children of Israel smote and possessed their land on the other side Jordan, toward the rising of the sun, from the river of Arnon to the Mount Hermon in the north, and all the plain of the east. All right, so this is just a list of those kings. And these are victories of Moses and Joshua combined. Remember, Moses had some victories, even on the eastern side of the Jordan River in the north country, the land they gave to Reuben, Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh. So these are going to be areas, this is just a list of Moses and him. 9 through 16 is the southern areas. 17 through 24 is going to be the northern areas. And as you get to the end of chapter 12, you will see 31 kings were defeated in all. And I'm not going to read through all of them today. I'll spare you. So now we'll pick up with chapter 13. Yeah, I jumped a whole chapter there. I was like, that don't make sense. But anyway, come back to me. All right, 1 through 6. Now we'll start. Now we're going to divide the land. Now Joshua was old and stricken in years. Now that stricken is just in years. I thought I made a note on that. Yeah, advanced. Joshua was, that don't really mean that he was plagued or anything. He was just advanced in years. 90 to 100 years old at the time. I think in my notes it looks like maybe died at 110. With that conquest, 7 of those final years being the conquest of the land there. So even later in life, Joshua was a potent force and to be reckoned with at that age. All right. So, okay, there we go. Thou art old and stricken in years, and there remaineth yet very much land to be possessed. Still plenty to do, though. This is a land that yet remaineth all the borders of the Philistines and all the Geshuri. And that's that area north, kind of northeast of the Sea of Galilee. So remember, the Sea of Galilee is north of the Dead Sea, so we're getting on up there in the north again. From Sior, in my notes here, which is before Egypt, that's possibly a river in Egypt there, even unto the borders of Ekron, which is only 22 miles from Jerusalem. Northward, which is counted to the Canaanites, 5 lords of the Philistines, the Gazahites, the Ashdothites, and the Ashkelonites, and the Gittites, and the Ekronites, and also the Abites. All right, 4. Verse 4. From the south, all the land of the Canaanites, and Merah, that is beside the Sidonians, even unto Aphek to the borders of the Amorites, and the land of the Giblites, and all Lebanon, which is north, toward the sun rising from Baal-gad under Mount Hermon unto the entering of Hamath, and the inhabitants of the hill country from Lebanon unto Mizrippothmaim, and all the Sidonians, them will I drive out from before the children of Israel only. Divide thou it by lot, and that's by chance, that's like a drawing, unto the Israelites for an inheritance, and I have commanded thee. And we'll find out here that the location was by lots, but the actual amount of land, I think, is determined by their population. We'll read about that in the future. All right. Now, 7 through 13. A lot of description there in the areas. Now, let's go on to here. Now, therefore, divide this land for an inheritance unto the 9 tribes and the half tribe of Manasseh. Now, you'll say, well, I thought there was 12 tribes. Well, you remember, Reuben, Gad, and the half tribe of Manasseh done got theirs, 9 and 3, 12. All right. And don't let Levites don't get none. And people say, well, how that don't add up to 12. The Levites don't get nothing. That leaves 11. But remember, Joseph's inheritance was double amount to his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. So you always got 12 going there, one way or the other. All right. Verse 8. With whom the Reubenites and the Gadites have received their inheritance, which Moses gave them beyond Jordan eastward, even as Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave them. So there it is, what we talked about just a second ago, that they're mentioned. From Aurora, that is upon the bank of the river Arnon, and the city that is in the midst of the river, and all the plain of Medeba, unto Dibon. And all the cities of Sihon, king of the Amorites, which reigned in Heshbon, unto the border of the children of Ammon, and Gilead, and the border of the Geshurites, and the I did know this one, but now I've done forgot it. Keithites, and all Mount Hermon, and all Bashan, and to Salcah, and all the kingdom of Og and Bashan, which reigned in Ashtaroth, and in Edrei, who remained of the remnant of the giants, for these did Moses smite and cast them out. All right. Nevertheless, the children of Israel expelled not the Geshurites. All right, nevertheless, the children of Israel expelled not the Geshurites, nor the Makethites, but the Geshurites and the Makethites dwell among the Israels until this day. So they're dwelling amongst them. They're seeing them even later, but that's one of them areas it wasn't dealt with completely. And it'll continue to be a problem even into the future. 12 tribes, yeah, we got that. Verse 14, we're talking about the Levites. Only unto the tribe of Levi he gave none inheritance. Why is that? Because they were to be, their substance was to be sustained by doing their work at the tabernacle, the end of the temple in the future. And they were given cities. They were assigned cities is where they would be at. So they didn't get a land inheritance. Another sacrifice of the Lord of Israel made by fire are their inheritance, as he said unto them. So that's an even stronger way to say it. All right? Inheritance was sacrifices of the tabernacle. 15 through 32. Yeah, we got plenty of time. And Moses gave unto the tribe of the children of Reuben inheritance according to their families. And their coast was from Aror, that is on the bank of the river Arnon, in the city that is in the midst of the river, and all the plain of Medeba. Heshbon and all her cities that are in the plain, Dibon and Bamoth Baal and Beth Baal Meon, and Jahaza and Kedemoth and I can't say that at all. And the Kirjathim and Sibmah and Zareshar in the mount of the valley. So it's got, all right, all the way to 32. Yeah, here we go. 15 to 32, and that's where we're at now. All right, I was supposed to summarize this too to save you the trouble. I got to do better on that and make it myself. But it's a division. These verses 15 through 32 that I'm struggling with pronouncing every word in these verses is just a detailed division of the land for Reuben, the half tribe of Manasseh, and Gad as I was going through there. I did make a note. Let's touch on verse 22. Yeah. So in this area that they're going to inherit, verse 2, Balaam, you remember Balaam, also the son of Beor, the soothsayer, did the children of Israel slay with the sword among them that were slain by them. So Balaam got what was coming to him. And that was just, I think I may have killed back in the Numbers. That's when we was battling the Midianites. And just a good reminder of the fate of one who used moral corruption to harm God's people. And that's just what he did. That come to my mind when we was thinking about that. You know, the king was wanting Balaam to curse the nation of Israel, and God had got word to him that he shouldn't do that. And he didn't do it. But he was a soothsayer, sneaky person, and he ended up giving the king some advice on how to lure the men of the nation of Israel outside their tents and using women, of not good reputation, and it ended the corruption of God's people there, and it caused discourse in their numbers. So Balaam got what he deserved, and it's just touching on that. So anyway, division of the land, and now I'm going to pick up with verse 33. All right. But unto the tribe of Levi, Moses gave not an inheritance. The Lord God of Israel was their inheritance, as he said unto them. All right. So we got all the tribes got their divisions, and Levi, of course, God's their inheritance. Chapter 14. I'm going to read verses 1 through 5. Division of Canaan. And these are the countries which the children of Israel inherited in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar. Now, everybody remember who Eleazar was, of course, right? Son of Aaron, the high priest, yeah. and he's the priest, and Joshua the son of Nun, and the heads of the fathers of the tribes of the children of Israel distributed for the inheritance to them. By lot was their inheritance, as the Lord commanded by the hand of Moses. By lot, the location, for the 9 tribes and for the half tribe. For Moses had given the inheritance to 2 tribes and a half tribe on the other side of the Jordan, but to the Levites he gave none inheritance among them, of land, of course. For the children of Joseph were 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. Therefore they gave no part unto the Levites in the land, save cities to dwell in, with their suburbs for their cattle and for their substance. As for the Lord commanded Moses, so the children of Israel did, and they divided the land. All right, got that. The amount was based on a census. As I told you, the amount of land they got was not by lot, but how many people there was. And so more people, more land, and the location, of course, was determined by lot. Okay, I'll stop there. I may just start over with 14 next week. I will dismiss us with a prayer now. Dear God,